Hello, my friends. There are times in life when you're praying with everything you have. You're praying for that job. You're praying for that marriage. You're praying for that baby, that healing, that breakthrough. You're crying in sujood at night. You're making dua after every salah. But if you're honest, it feels like nothing is moving. It feels like the heavens are silent. And you start to think, maybe Allah doesn't want this for me. Maybe my dua is not good enough. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I want to tell you today, there is nothing wrong with you. Your Lord has not forgotten you. Allah is not ignoring your dua. Very often Allah is preparing something greater than what you're praying for. You're asking for a door. Allah is building you a whole house. You're asking for a small promotion. Allah is preparing you for a whole new level. You're asking for a person. Allah is protecting you from that person and writing someone far better for you. You see, we see what is in front of us. Allah sees our past, our present, our future all at once. We see this chapter. Allah sees the whole book. In the Qur'an, Allah tells us. But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you. And perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you do not know. You're praying for something you love. Something you're convinced is good for you. But Allah, in His perfect knowledge, knows. If I gave you exactly what you're asking for, at the time you're asking, it might break you instead of build you. It might delay you rather than elevate you. It might look like a blessing now, but become a burden later. So what does Allah do? He delays that answer. He redirects that dua. He closes a door here only because He's opening a much better one over there. Some of you are in a season right now where it feels like doors are slamming in your face. You thought that proposal was the one, and it fell through. You thought that job was your big chance, and they never called you back. You had a plan, a timeline, a clear picture of how your life should look by now, and none of it has gone the way you expected. But listen carefully, delays are not denials. Redirections are not rejections. Detours are not disasters. For the believer, every delay has design. Every no from creation is making room for a better yes from the Creator. Allah says, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Sufficient means if that job doesn't come, He is still enough. If that person leaves, He is still enough. If that plan falls apart, He is still enough. And because He is enough, what He is planning for you is better than what you're planning for yourself. Right now, while you're worrying, Allah is planning. Right now, while you're crying, Allah is arranging. Right now, while you're asking for the minimum, Allah is writing for you the maximum that is good for your dunya and your akhirah. Some of you are praying from a place of exhaustion. Why, Allah? Just let things stop getting worse. And Allah is saying, in His unseen mercy, I am not preparing just survival for you. I am preparing revival for you. I am not just going to get you out of this. I am going to raise you through this. The problem is, we measure Allah's love by how fast He answers. But Allah measures what He gives by how much it will benefit your heart, your faith, and your eternity. You may be saying, I just want to get married. But Allah says, I don't just want you married. I want you married to someone who will push you closer to Jannah, who will hold your hand through hardship, who will remind you of me when you forget. You may be saying, I just want any job. But Allah says, I don't want any job for you. I want a provision that is halal, that is stable, that preserves your salah, your dignity, your family life, and your mental health. You're praying based on what you know. Allah is answering based on what He knows. So in this message, we're going to talk about this powerful truth. Allah is preparing something greater than what you're praying for. We're going to look at how to trust Allah's timing when you feel left behind. How to keep making dua when nothing seems to change. How to recognize the signs that Allah is actually moving you towards something better, even when it feels like you're going backwards. By the end of this talk, my aim is that you walk away with a new mindset, no more saying, nothing is happening for me. Instead, you'll start saying, something is happening for me, even if I can't see it yet. My Rab is preparing something greater. So stay with me. Open your heart. Bring your disappointments, your delays, your unanswered dues. And let's see together how Allah can turn what looks like a setback into the very preparation for the greatest blessings of your life in this world, and more importantly, in the next. When you make dua and it doesn't happen right away, your mind can start whispering, maybe Allah said no. Maybe this will never happen for me. But in the life of a believer, delay and denial are not the same thing. When Allah delays, He is not punishing you, ignoring you, or overlooking you. He is arranging, aligning, and preparing. His delay is a sign that the timing is not yet right, that there are pieces of the puzzle still being put into place, that there are parts of you He is still strengthening so that you can handle what you are asking for. You are looking at the clock. Allah is looking at your entire destiny. We live in a world that loves instant messages, instant food, instant results. And if we're not careful, we start expecting instant from the Lord of the worlds. We make dua tonight and expect to see the answer tomorrow morning. And when that doesn't happen, we feel forgotten. But Allah tells us in the Qur'an that perhaps we love a thing that is bad for us and hate a thing that is good for us. And that He knows while we do not know. Sometimes the delay is the very thing that turns what you're asking for into a real blessing instead of a burden. You think you're waiting on the blessing, but very often the blessing is waiting on you to be ready for it. Think about Yusuf A.S. sitting in the darkness of the well, then in the prison. From the outside, it looked like delay, setback, rejection. But in reality, every year in that prison was moving him closer to the palace, closer to authority, closer to the fulfillment of his dream. If he had been released too early, before the king had his dream, before the right moment, he would have walked out to nothing special, just another ordinary life. The delay was strategic, not accidental. In the same way, your delay is not an empty pause. It is loaded with preparation, with hidden mercy, with unseen positioning. When you don't see your dua answered, you have a choice. You can let Shaitan use the delay to plant doubt. Allah doesn't care about you. You're not worthy. Your prayers don't work. Or you can let the delay deepen your tawakkul. My Rab heard me the first time. If it's not here yet, then He knows something I don't. He's saving me from what I can't see and preparing me for what I can't imagine. Allah's messenger, taught us that our dua is always responded to. Sometimes we see it in this world, sometimes it's saved for us in the next, and sometimes a harm is pushed away instead. That means even in the delay, something is happening, a kindness is being written, a hardship is being lifted, a reward is being stored, and your Lord is closer to you than ever as you call upon Him again and again, believing that His delay is never His denial, only His perfect wisdom in action. You and I live inside moments. We feel what's happening today, what happened yesterday, what we hope for tomorrow. Our sight is short. Our emotions are tied to what is right in front of us. When something doesn't work out, it feels like the whole story. When a door closes, it feels like the end of the road. But Allah is not dealing with you just based on this one moment. He is looking at your entire lifetime, from the day you were born until the day you meet Him, and beyond that, into an eternity that never ends. You see the pain of the breakup, the rejection, the failure. Allah sees how this pain will soften your heart, drive you back to Him, and save you from a marriage or a path that would have destroyed you years down the line. You see the frustration of being single while everyone around you is getting married. Allah sees the kind of spouse you would have ended up with if He had answered you at the time you begged Him the most. And He knows how that rushed yes would have affected your deen, your peace, your children, and your Akhirah. We often judge life like a photo, a single snapshot. This didn't work, so it's bad. That happened, so it's good. But Allah is directing a whole movie. A single painful scene might be the very thing that gives meaning to all the scenes that come after it. The Qur'an reminds us again and again to think and reflect, to look beyond the surface, because what you see now is only one frame in a long story that Allah is still writing for you. Imagine a child at the doctor. The needle is coming, the child only sees pain. The parent, however, sees protection from disease, health in the future, a stronger body later on. That child might even be mad at the parent for allowing the shot. In the same way, you may be upset with how life is unfolding, not realizing that your Rabb is not just seeing your tears today, He is seeing your state 10 years from now. And your state when you stand before Him on the day of judgment. When Allah withholds a harem income that looks so easy, you might feel left out as others advance faster. But Allah sees a lifetime protected from the guilt, anxiety, and spiritual heaviness that would have come with it. And He sees your scale of deeds on the last day lighter because you refuse something doubtful for His sake. When He doesn't let a certain dream job happen, you only see your CV and your bills. He sees the salah you would have missed, the family time you would have lost, the temptations you would have been surrounded with, and the effect all of that would have on your heart when it meets Him. We ask based on what we know today. Allah responds based on what He knows about every tomorrow and every moment after death, when this world is gone and only our choices and His mercy remain. So when your limited moment clashes with His unlimited vision, trust that the one who sees your lifetime and your hereafter is managing your story with a wisdom you don't yet see. And you keep walking by faith, not by sight, holding on to the one who sees it all as you move through what you can only see in pieces, step by step. Day by day, there are moments in life when a door slams shut so hard it almost knocks the breath out of you. The proposal you were sure would go through suddenly collapses. The job interview that felt perfect ends with, "We've decided to move forward with someone else." The visa gets rejected, the business deal falls apart, the opportunity you prayed for disappears overnight. In that instant, it feels like rejection, like loss, like you've been pushed out into the cold with nowhere to go, but in the unseen, something very different can be happening. Very often, those closed doors are not random. They are not cruelty, they are not neglect, they are divine protection. Allah, out of His mercy, sometimes blocks your path, not to hold you back, but to keep you safe from a future you can't yet see. You are hurt by what you lost. He is saving you from what would have hurt you much more. You were asking for a certain person, certain job, certain move. All you could see were the positives. You imagined the happiness, the security, the comfort. You didn't see the arguments 5 years from now, the betrayal, the toxicity, the way your deen might have weakened, the way your mental health might have crumbled. You didn't see the pressure to compromise your salah, your hijab, your honesty, your identity. But Allah saw every detail of that unseen future and out of kindness closed the door before you walked into a storm. Sometimes we say, but it looked so right. Everything was lining up. Remember, not every open door is from Allah as a gift, and not every closed door is from Allah as a punishment. This is why we have istikhara. When you pray istikhara sincerely, and then a door closes, you don't have to be confused. You can say, Ya Allah, I asked you to turn it away from me. If it was bad, and you did, I may not understand, but I trust that you just protected me from something I was running toward. Think of how many times you look back in life and say, Alhamdulillah, that didn't work out. At the time I was devastated, but now I can see it would have been a disaster. That is a small glimpse of what divine protection looks like. Right now you are living inside another story whose ending you haven't yet seen. One day, if Allah wills, you may look back at this closed door with the same relief and gratitude. When Allah blocks a path, He is not saying, I've abandoned you. He is saying, this is not it. Not this person, not this deal, not this route. A believer doesn't just cry at the closed door. A believer wipes their tears, says, Qadar Allahu wa ma sha'a fa'al, and turns their face back to the one who holds all the keys, trusting that there are other doors in other places with other timings already written with their name on them. When you pour your heart out in dua and the answer doesn't come the way you imagine, it can sound like Allah is saying no. The proposal falls through, the loan is denied, the exam has failed, the door you knocked on for months stays shut. You look at the situation and think, that's it. Allah didn't give it to me. But so often, what feels like a firm no from Allah right now is really a bigger, wiser, yes, that is scheduled for a better time, in a better form, when you are more ready and it is more beneficial for your dunya and your akhirah. We judge everything by immediacy. Did it happen or not? Did I get it or not? Yes or no? But Allah is Al-Hakim, the All-Wise, and His responses are not limited to our categories. You may be begging for a job this year and not get it, only to see years later that a superior opportunity opens up that you would have missed if the earlier door had pulled you in. You may be asking to marry a specific person and hear what looks like a no from every direction, only to be given someone who honors your deen and heart in a way you never thought possible. In that moment, you realize the earlier no was not rejection, it was redirection toward a bigger yes. In our impatience, we sometimes want any kind of yes, even a small one, even a risky one, even one that will cost us long-term peace. But Allah loves His servants too much to always give us what we want when we want it. He is not just giving to satisfy a moment. He is giving to secure your faith, your future, and your hereafter. That means He may hold back a lesser blessing now so He can give you a greater blessing later. If He allowed that rushed marriage, you might have never met the spouse who would be a garment for you in deen. If He allowed that shaky business, you might have never stepped into the halo opportunity that sustains you without stealing your salah and your sanity. Think of Ibrahim Est making dua for a child for years. It looked like a no for a long time. Age-advanced circumstances became impossible. People would have said, it's over. But in Allah's plan, that long stretch of now was only building up to an extraordinary yes. Ismail Est, and later Ishaq Est, prophets and a lineage from which the final messenger I would come. The delay didn't diminish the yes, it magnified it. The longer it seemed impossible, the more powerful the fulfillment became in your own life. Allah's no might be protecting your emen, preserving your dignity, or positioning you for something you can't yet see. You might be ready emotionally, but not ready spiritually. You might think your heart can handle the blessing, but Allah knows your heart needs more cleansing, more tawakkul, more sabr first. So He says no for now to say a more complete yes later, when having that blessing will not pull you away from Him, but pull you closer to Him, when what you receive will not just look good on the outside, but will actually be good for who you are becoming as His servant, and for how you will stand when you meet Him on the day where every no and yes is finally understood in full. One of the most comforting truths in our deen is that no sincere dua ever goes to waste. The Prophet taught us that when a believer makes dua, Allah responds in one of three ways. He gives what is asked for in this life. He delays it to a better time, or He stores it as reward in the hereafter, or uses it to repel a harm of equal weight. That means every warab you whisper, every tear that falls in sujood, every raised hand is noticed, recorded, and responded to in a way is full of wisdom and mercy. Even if you don't see the effect right away with your eyes, sometimes Allah answers now. You ask for a job, and within days or weeks an opportunity opens. You beg for ease in an exam, and you find questions you revised most for waiting for you on the paper. You pray for healing, and the diagnosis changes, or your heart suddenly finds a calm it didn't have before. These are the answers we recognize immediately. They make us say, Subhanallah, what a quick response. They strengthen our iman because the link between dua and result is obvious and close in time. Other times, Allah answers later. You make dua for years for marriage, children, stability, a dream you carry in your heart. Nothing seems to move. You might even stop mentioning it to people out of embarrassment, but you keep mentioning it to Allah. Then, in a year you didn't expect, through a person you didn't plan, in a country you never imagined living in, Allah opens the door. At that moment you realize all those nights, all those du'as were not ignored. They were being stored, layered, arranged, until the timing and the circumstances were best for you. The delay didn't mean silence. It meant careful preparation, and then there is the response we often forget, the answer in the hereafter. There are du'as you will make that you may never see fulfilled in this world in the way you pictured. You'll stand on the day of judgment and find mountains of reward, levels in Jannah, protections from punishments you never even knew you were at risk of, and you'll ask, where did all this come from? And it will be said, this is from the du'as that were not given to you in Dunya, but were saved to honor you today. If you knew how huge the reward was, you would wish that more of your du'as had been delayed and transferred like this, multiplied and purified beyond the reach of loss. Sometimes Allah also answers by pushing away a harm equal to what you asked for. You may have been saved from an accident, a heartbreak, a scandal, a spiritual fall, simply because your dua stood between you and that unseen danger. You won't see a headline for the calamity that didn't happen. You won't get a notification saying, today a disaster was canceled because of your dua last Ramadan. But in the unseen, that is one of the ways your dua is working for you constantly, even while you are unaware that anything has changed on the surface of your life.